Hello, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Good Yontif. Great to see so many of you here. Hello. I am personally very excited for this Is This the Fast I Desire program. There's really no more fitting subject to this panel discussion than addressing hunger on this day. Both in a sort of silly sense, and many of us are hungry right now. I am one of them. But in the bigger sense, I mean, there are many people who are hungry for more than one day. And that is our topic, not only today, but in the Haftarah that we read and heard this morning. Isaiah asks, is this the fast that I desire? Something for us to feel good about, or something for us to engage in religiously or ritually? And he answers the question he says no. He says the fast that I desire, that God desires, is one in which we feed the hungry, in which we welcome the stranger, where we break the yokes of oppression. That is the fast that we desire on Yom Kippur. So it's perfectly aligned that we are able to put together this very special panel on behalf of NSCI's Feed the Homeless community partners. I'm just going to say a quick word about Feed the Homeless before I introduce our special guests. Feed the Homeless, as many of you know and participate in, and we have many of Feed the Homeless's leaders here as well, which is, could you actually just raise your hand if you're a leader in Feed the Homeless, and everybody else look around? These are, yes, they totally deserve applause, and these are people to connect with when we are all inspired to get further involved with the efforts of Feed the Homeless. So I hope you remembered those hands and those faces. Feed the Homeless has been around for 36 years. Once a month, this community gets together. It's been in this room to put together meals for those in need. We have a little info sheet that we handed out. Over 300,000 people over the years have been served by Feed the Homeless. This is amazingly entirely operated based on your contributions, congregant contributions. This program runs about $35,000, $36,000, $37,000 a year, which is a lot because it is a big scale that we're running. We have 3 community partners here that we work with, and they also are working with very big populations in need, and it is really incredible. It's not a fact to overlook that this is entirely congregant-driven. That is something to be proud of, and it's something to engage in. And it's also on that note that we could not do this work alone. We also really rely on and cherish our partnerships with our organizations who are out in various communities doing this significant and increasingly important work of feeding those in need. And I'm just going to briefly introduce our 3 special guests here, and then they are going to speak more about their work and their organizations, and all of which is very inspiring and impactful. So Mike Uziak is the Meals Ministry Manager at the 4th Presbyterian Church in Chicago, where he oversees volunteer coordination and meal distribution. Those of you who take the Sunday meals down to 4th Pres will, and a few of you are in the house, see Mike on those Sundays. Julie Lanham is with Connections for the Homeless in Evanston, a longtime advocate helping maintain safe housing and shelter services across the area. And Annie McAvini is the founder of Fill a Heart for Kids in Lake Forest, which provides essential resources and care to homeless and foster children across the region. I am going to pass it over first to Mike to tell us a bit more about his work. And thank you, everybody, so much for being here, for being a part of this conversation, bearing witness to really, really essential work. As we heard from Rabbi Geffen, this isn't volunteer work to feel good about ourselves. This is an obligation in our tradition. This is how we are Jewish, is by fulfilling these commandments. This is a very important one. I'm going to pass it over to Mike.
Thank you. Gemar Tova. I'd like to express my thanks to Rabbi Leisman, Lois Davis, and all North Shore congregation for the invitation to speak today. It was a good idea to tell me in advance that I have to limit myself to a 10-minute talk, because otherwise I could quite literally speak about my job for quite a while. That is how proud I am of the help that the Fourth Presbyterian Meals Ministry provides to the community, and how very proud I am of the compassion and commitment of all of our volunteers. This morning, 8 volunteers worked in our dining room making 500 turkey and cheese and roast beef sandwiches to replenish our bagged lunch supplies. Yesterday, 8 volunteers repackaged snacks into individual servings to go along with the 100 bag lunches we'll be delivering to one of our partner organizations, the Night Ministry. This week, some 350 guests will have stopped by Fourth Church on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for a bag lunch, fresh fruit, cookies, coffee, and a chance to relax and dine in community with others instead of being alone. Later this month, we'll serve a chili supper that was cooked here at North Shore, along with a bunch of side dishes to 150 plus guests. Additionally, you have created a bag lunch that each guest can take with them as they leave. Your volunteers will also create an additional 150 bag lunches to use during the week with sandwiches and snacks for the Chicago Lights tutoring program. This is the Meals Ministry of Fourth Church, created in 2014 to consolidate all of Fourth's feeding initiatives into a single cohesive program. Through our 3 main programs, we host 6 meals each week, 52 weeks a year, serving sometimes up to 200 guests per meal. We regularly provide a total of 500 lunches per month to 3 established partners, and we deliver prepared meals to 3 shelters around the city. Altogether, we serve more than 48,000 meals annually, and we're expecting to exceed 50,000 this year. Well, thank you. Of all these facts and figures that you'll hear today, the one I'm most proud to share with you is that over the last 8 years since I've been there, we have not missed serving 1 meal to our guests. That's all through the COVID pandemic. We had guests lining up outside in the cold. We had volunteers lining up outside in the cold, serving people 6 days a week. Once again, this speaks to the commitment of our volunteers, for without them, we could not exist. The visitors to our program, we prefer to call them guests, come from all walks of life. We serve men, women, non-gender, African American, Hispanics, undocumented, and people of all faith. 50% of our guests are people without permanent shelter, with others in supportive living or staying with relatives. We partner with Chicago Lights, a separate nonprofit organization at Fourth Church, to provide clothing and case management to our guests. Through this partnership, guests can receive mail, housing assistance, connections to shelters, vouchers for haircuts, and access to, and much more. Twice a month, guests have access to a medical clinic at Fourth Church. This allows faster access to doctors and practitioners than spending hours waiting in an emergency room at a hospital. But it's the human connection with our guests that drive our volunteers to serve. Here's the story of Calvin Green, one of the people we serve. This is not Calvin Green. Calvin, who has no permanent address, stays in the Chicago East End neighborhood and has been a mainstay of our programs for years. Calvin says, "This is a community of love and acceptance. To be part of this community," he says, "they simply inspire me. They make me want to keep going." As a valued part of that community, Calvin tries to extend love and acceptance to others who come through our doors for meals. The things I've been through, I've survived against all odds, Calvin says. I'm grateful and humbled. Every day the Lord gives me, I'm winning. I can show other homeless people I haven't given up. I'm still here, fighting, and they can do it too. Calvin grew up in Chicago's Robert Taylor homes, but his mother moved the family to Phoenix, Illinois to escape gangs. Poverty, trauma, violence, and racism marked his childhood. His adulthood started in prison. Standing up to injustice and encouraging others and educating himself helped him survive incarceration. While incarcerated, Calvin earned his associate degree in automotive technology, graduating with a 4.0. Only one friend surpassed him as the highest in their class. The friend Calvin taught to speak English. Calvin says he was also instrumental in advancing racial integration at the prison. Well, when he was released in 1991, Calvin says he yearned to be the very best version of myself. Today, Calvin is known by the team at Fourth Church for the positive way he sees the world and the people in it. Society tends to focus on our participants' troubles: poverty, addiction, mental illness, homelessness, or loneliness. This program is about inspiring joy and developing new friendships and sharing expertise. Calvin epitomizes these aspirations. He has gained self-confidence and has gone on to mentor and inspire others. For many, volunteering with the Meals Ministry tightens their connection to society and deepens their faith. That's certainly been the case for me. Since I first started to serve in 2018, I've formed relationships with our guests, realized the joy of being part of a closely knit community, learned patience and forbearance, and come to live in gratitude for the many gifts, big and small, that bless the work of the Meals Ministry. As much as I've touted all the things that the Meals Ministry has done, what's most special about our work is that singular moment of connection, when a smile and a friendly greeting welcome a guest, when a volunteer shares a prayer with a worried diner, when we are a light in the city. The community created in and around our meals is very real and very special. One of our guests recently offered a special prayer request that captures that feeling, and I'll close with it. I want to pray for all the volunteers. They have shown God's grace. They inspire me. The world has gotten worse as Fourth volunteers have gotten better. The past 3 years would have been a tribulation without them. We hope that you can keep that up, and we welcome you for joining us. Thank you for your time.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mike. I'm going to change this over. And thank you so much for sharing more about the Meals Ministry. And it really, just do that, multitasking here. Bang. Boom. It's sharing Calvin's story. To me, it was an inspiring Yom Kippur message of someone who was trying to tap into the very best parts of themselves, and they were able to really apply that to their community at the church. And that, to me, I mean, that's what we're doing here. So, all part of this human journey. Julie, I'm going to pass over to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Lanham. I'm the Director of Development Operations with Connections for the Homeless. At Connections for the Homeless, our mission is to serve and catalyze our community to end homelessness one person at a time. We were founded in Evanston just over 40 years ago. 2024 was actually our 40th anniversary as an agency. And what started as a single act of rebellion, you could say, with the city of Evanston as an all-night prayer vigil, has now turned into an agency that each year is serving just about 5,000 people across all of our programs. We are located in Evanston. We have 4 locations in Evanston, but our reach expands much beyond the Evanston area to 52 suburban Cook County and now starting into Lake County communities here in the area. You can see just how far our reach goes within our community to serve our neighbors. I don't know how well you all can see this, but this is a high-level overview of the work we do at Connections. We have a couple key program areas that I want to talk about. The first one being eviction prevention. If we can keep someone in their home in the first place, that is our priority. Anytime we can prevent homelessness before it starts, that is what we want to do. And that can look a couple different ways. Maybe that's assisting with back rent or mortgage, utility payments, supporting people as they're moving in if they need assistance with first and last month's rent or a security deposit. Moving into a new place can be very expensive and can be a barrier for a lot of people. And so that is one of the services that we provide at Connections. Next, we have our drop-in and shelter programs, which is what you are directly supporting with your meal service. So we have 2 drop-in centers in Evanston, and what that means is for folks who are currently experiencing homelessness, they're able to visit our daytime drop-in centers to come in. They can take a shower, visit our clothing room. We have a small health clinic on site, but a lot of that relationship actually starts with a bagged lunch. And so for some people, as they're entering our space for the first time, they might not know where to start or what to do or even what to ask for. And what we're able to do in that moment is offer that act of hospitality. Here's a meal, and it's so much more than feeding that immediate need, their hunger. It's providing a start to that relationship. It's building trust over time, and you're helping us do that through your meal program, which we're very, very grateful for. In addition to our drop-in centers, we also have our shelter, which is at the Margarita Inn. In March of 2020, a lot of things happened around here, and one of them was the stay-at-home order here in the state of Illinois. We could no longer have people in a congregate setting, which is what we previously did at Hilda's Place, where we were founded. We moved people into local hotels, and after some time, we realized, hey, this works. People can be here 24/7. We were then able to serve men, women, and children all in one space, where before the pandemic, we were only able to serve men on emergency shelter basis from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. That leaves a whole lot of time throughout the day of what to do next. Am I gonna have a bed tonight? Those are a lot of questions that are hard to answer when you're trying to rebuild and provide that stability in your own life. At the Margarita Inn, we're able to have up to 60 people at a time. People are able to stay 24/7. The average stay is actually 6 to 9 months. And it's an old hotel in the Evanston area, and so it is either a private or semi-private room with an attached bathroom, and that is a very powerful experience, providing dignity to each person that we serve with that reliable place to stay. We offer a range of housing programs, both for short-term subsidies, long-term subsidies, to support people on their journey into housing. And all while this is happening, we have an advocacy team working at the higher level, really working to make the systems change that we need to see in the community, to stop homelessness before it starts, to advocate for more affordable housing, and to provide more options for the people that we serve. So here is an overview of our impact numbers from our last program year. As you can see, we've grown to serve over 5,000 people a year across our programs. Our drop-in program this past program year served a record amount of people that we've had. And that includes visits to our food pantry. We have a food pantry at one of our drop-in locations that's more intended for people who are housed but need additional support. And we continue to see increases to our food pantry as SNAP benefits and other things continue to change in this moment. Here is an overview of the people that we serve. You can see we are largely serving adults, but a quarter of the people that we do serve are children, almost evenly split between men and women, and then 30% of the people that we serve do have a mental or physical disability. volunteer opportunities. So here's a couple ways to plug in with us, whether it's as a congregation, individually, or as a family. We provide many different ways to support our work, and truthfully, we could not do the work that we do without the support of this wonderful community. We have over 1,000 volunteers a year who make our work possible, and you can do that in a variety of different ways, both off-site, as you do here with meals, or on-site, supporting our drop-in programs, special events, different things like that that we have throughout the year, plus Saturdays of service. We have a weekend opportunity every month, plus special events throughout the year. Our next one being Winter Warmth, which is in November, where we pass out cold weather gear to over 500 individuals. If you're QR code kind of people, you can scan this for more information, but I do have cards that we can pass out with more information about the work that we do, ways to stay involved. And again, thank you so much for all of the work that you do to ensure our participants, both at the Margarita Inn and at Hilda's Place, are met with a meal every time that they're in our space. That really goes such a long way to keep that trust, build that relationship, and of course, fill the need of hunger. So thank you so much for all your support.
Thank you so much, Julie, for teaching us more about connections and all that's going there. It struck me that the verse from Isaiah that we read this morning is to feed the hungry and to bring those in need of housing into your home. So your organization is operating on both of these levels, and we are grateful for your partnership. And now I'm going to pass it over to Annie from Fill a Heart for Kids.
I'm just going to take, no, I'm going to stand up.
Okay.
Here, and I'll scooch over here. Hi, everybody. I'll scoot over here. First of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for all the food that you sponsor for our children. And I just want to take a step back and share why we started Fill a Heart for Kids. When my daughter was a baby, she was 1 year old, and it's sometimes still hard to talk about. We just finally started talking about it because it's nice for people to know our backstory. I was at work, and something came over me. I thought something was wrong, and when I got home, my baby only had her diaper on. She was in the basement in the dark. She had a broken jaw and needles all over her back. And it was a very painful, long process of healing. She was in and out of the hospital for 18 years on morphine, off of morphine. But we said when our daughter was in a place where she was healthy, we were going to start taking in homeless children. And our first baby we took in was 18 years ago. And that's when we learned the magnitude of children selling themselves for food. And they were in such danger. The amount of exploitation going on in our country. Now, 18 years later, we serve over 2,800 children annually, and our numbers escalate from fall through March to 4,000 children. The conditions that children are living in are horrific. You can't imagine the poverty. Through our partnerships with 84 schools and social service agencies, we feed children every weekend. We have children that have sold themselves for food. I'm going to give you an example. Destiny is in our program. She was a straight-A student, and she graduated early from high school and became homeless. And her family started trafficking her. She ran away and she couldn't survive. And when we finally were able to rescue her with the police, she went back to this abuser again, and he started selling her again. It takes so long to rescue children. And when we finally got her back, we said to her, "Why do you keep trafficking yourself? Why are you going back to this man?" And she said, "I go back to him because he feeds me." And that was a commitment we made. Now Destiny is a junior in college and thriving. And it makes us so happy. And you've fed Destiny. Every single weekend today, this morning, 270 food bags went out for children through partnerships with schools. And we are so intentional about just working with schools. Because if we work with schools, we can reach the most vulnerable children. Everybody says, well, these are the stats. But if a parent doesn't know how to sign up their child for McKinney Rental Services, that child goes without. We have parents that maybe they don't speak English, or young parents. We have parents that are 14 years old. How can they possibly fill out these forms? And then their children go without. So we work very hard. So we have 2,857 or 47 youth that are at risk and vulnerable. And then we have 650 children in our program that live in foster institutions. And then I just want to share a happy story because the work we do is so intense, but there's a ton of beauty too. So here's our precious children, and this is Eddie and Winston, and it's their reading club, and all these children were rescued, and they're part of our program, and we feed them, and you help them, and we're so grateful for your services. I just want to share a few things that we do. I have to put on my glasses. We provide over 554,900 servings of food, and they're more like meals, to children without access to pantries. And we do this so children don't have to resort to extreme measures to survive. We have a holiday food box program, 14,932 servings of food just for a 2-day weekend. Over Thanksgiving, over 89,000 servings of food. Over winter break, 127,000 servings of food. Toiletries for dignity. You know what's amazing? A lot of people are so kind. They'll bring their hotel toiletries, which we can't accept, because so many of our children have been trafficked through hotels. So we only give our children full-size products, and we sponsor over 13,000 toiletries. We do project restoration projects. It's really scary because of the financial state of Illinois. So many children's homes have been closed, and we have children living in hospitals. And a lot of these agencies are hanging by a thread. This sweet little area, we just put in a new library at a children's home, and we just remodeled 2 wings and their cafeteria. We have this wonderful program, Project Smart. We sponsor over 90,000 school supplies for children annually. And every single child that's in our program, they get school supplies throughout the year so they're prepared and ready to learn. School incentives. We have incentive boxes in every single school that we partner with because we want to make sure children keep coming back for more. And did you know when Lois, the sweet lady, drops off our snack bags, for our weekend food bags, we can't give any extra. Well, I shouldn't say that. We give 10% extra only. And the reason why we can only give 10% extra is because a lot of parents are drug addicts. A lot of parents might go to work and leave their children home alone. So if we only give them enough food Friday night through Sunday night, they'll be hungry and they'll be in school first thing in the morning getting their school meal. So everything is weighed out through measurements. And you all supply a ton of snacks for our kids, and we are so grateful. We know it takes work and effort to get that done, but it makes a huge difference because our food program, costs so much. What else can I share with you? We provide over 17,000 units of seasonal clothing, and we only give new clothing to children because we have to restore their dignity, and we want them to be in school, and it reduces peer shaming. We buy everything in bulk and tax-free. We do a lot of pallet purchasing and reaching out to manufacturers so we can get their end lots, and that's why we can help so many children. What else can I tell you? For our summer school program, the kids are so precious. We have 556 children that are enrolled in our program, and they come and we make sure it's the highest risk children. And they come every day and they get a warm meal, and we do life skills classes with the children. And then at the end of the day, they go home with a snack bag, because a lot of our children live in garages. And even right now, annually we sponsor over 4,480 winter coats last year. And right now, because of the budgets and what's going on, we're only able to sponsor 3,360 children. There's a lot that goes into helping children. We have homework clubs for children to help them to be safe. And we have so many sweet children that write letters to us. Did you know that the reason why only 3% of foster children graduate college? It's not because they aren't trying or don't want to be there, because they do. In many cases, it's the first time they had stability. They know they can go back to their dorm. But when funding is pulled, randomly pulled, which happens every single summer, our kids become homeless. So we offer stopgap funding. And one of our sweet and amazing young ladies, as a little girl, she was severely abused till she was 7. The crimes against her were horrific. And she went into foster care, where foster families abused her. And then, when she was 13 years old, she entered our Brighter Futures program. And we love Raven so much, she would even come here and tell you what your snack bags meant to her. And this young lady is a junior in college. Next year, she'll be graduating. And it makes me teary-eyed and so happy to say she's going on to dental school after that. And this is a young lady that was abused, molested, and so many crimes against her. But with a lot of love, like you see with these precious little children, it makes all the difference in the world. So I love what I do, and we can't do it without community. I don't know if I went over time, but I can't impress upon you enough how much each snack bag means to our children. And those snack bags go to children without access to food pantries only. And we're one of the all-only children's food pantry in Illinois. And we do that because we have to protect children. So they can learn and they can go to school. And they love coming to school because they have everything there, from incentive resources to clothing to toiletries for dignity and food. And they know if they keep coming back, they'll be safe, and they're learning, and we're so proud of them. And we're so grateful for all of you. So thank you for your time. I'm grateful.
Really powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Annie. Really powerful learning more about Phil Hart and your story and the tremendous impact of your organization. What we're trying to do, I'm about to open it up for questions, so get the wheels turning. But what I'm hoping this is doing, raise your hand if you've volunteered here with Feed the Homeless before. And you come to this room, that's many of you, you come to this room and you volunteer for a couple hours, very important work. Some of you distribute the meals down to Chicago and to Evanston, to Lake Forest. This is where they are going. This is where your donations of money, of your time, of your effort, this is where it's going. Everything that Julie, Mike, and Annie just shared with us and the populations that they serve, that is who we are serving when we come together each month. So we are so grateful for each of you being here, and this is a special opportunity to ask them directly any questions about their work or organizations, motivations, anything on your minds. And I'm going to come around and pass the microphone to you, game show style. So if you have a question for one of our panelists, please raise your hand. Yeah, Sandy.
I just wanted to know, are there any live-in kids, any of your clients living in, or are they all? I mean, I imagine that some of them are homeless, so do you have any place for them? I mean, it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. So that's why we work so closely with schools. And there's a team of us, about 1,000 families that take in homeless children. And my husband and I have taken in 27 children. And my first young baby that came to me, Mikey, he came back to us multiple times. And then when COVID hit, he came back to live with us. And then he went back to his grandmother's temporarily. And when she passed away, he came back to us. We're so proud of him. He graduated Lake Forest High School, and he's catching up academically, and he's going to CLC and working. So there are opportunities, yeah.
Did I see another hand? Yes, Marins.
Kindly pointed at me. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Marins, and I use they, them pronouns. I just want to thank you all for the work that you do. I identify as an activist. I'm a teacher, and to witness what activism can look like, and to just witness the so authentic, like the. Sorry, I'm gonna cry a little bit. You are very authentic, and all of you. So my question is, I volunteer with Hilda's Place and Night Ministry. I went to school in Evanston, so it was easier. And now some of the volunteers are talking a lot about hostile architecture. And I don't know if folks don't know, it's like when cities intentionally put like spikes on an area where typically unhoused folks would sleep, or cities make it like the benches get in half so they cannot sleep. So I don't know, I was wondering if you all had any kind of feedback on, or wonderful insight on kind of like what that looks like, or if you hear about that. It's kind of more recent. Yeah, please, thank you so much.
We were looking at a building, and we kept reaching out because we wanted to buy a hotel, and no one would ever respond to us because there's just not enough foster facilities, and there's so many homeless children. And later we found out because they didn't want us to be there. Not only that, a lot of our children, you don't realize how many children are homeless because they hide in abandoned buildings. They sleep in cars. You might have two moms in a car with their children, and they take turns turning on the car in the wintertime to keep the kids warm. Also, another thing, there's people that capitalize on homeless children. A lot of people will open up their garages, and people think it's wonderful, but the majority of people that open up their garages for homeless children and young moms to live in these garages, they're charging them rent, they're charging them to use the bathroom, they're charging them for showers. And so it's hard for them to ever catch up, and especially if they don't have transportation.
Thank you very much.
Julie, Mike.
So my role at Fourth Church is focusing on preparing meals, having people dine in congregation. I do hear a lot of stories over the years, and I do hear about, unfortunately, people sleeping under trains in the train yard. I know people have been evicted from viaducts by the city of Chicago, especially when the Democratic Convention was coming to town. They decided to clean up any place that was a public thoroughfare. That's not fair. But housing is a unique feature for people to respond to because it always seems to be not in my backyard. And so if we can get more people to join organizations like Annie's or Julie's or the Coalition for Homelessness in Chicago, amongst many other organizations that focus on this, and we appeal to the city leaders, the civic leaders in the Cook County and the city of Chicago and the other municipalities, that this is a problem and it's not going away. We need solutions. Of course, housing for all people is going up, 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 so we need a different paradigm So I would appeal you to do some advocacy and some reaching out to people to promote that. And I'm going to pass it along to Jilly.
You know, I appreciate your awareness to your surroundings and the community around you. You know, I think to your point around purchasing a hotel, that's something that we were able to do with the support of Cook County in fall of 2023. So the Margarita Inn is ours. It is a permanent solution for the Evanston community. Yes, claps to that. But it wasn't easy. It was not an overnight, yep, all thumbs up around. It was a long, expensive legal battle. There was concern for the community around character. What is this going to make our community look like? What will the other impacts of that be? Right now, we're facing something similar just around the city's zoning code and how that can prevent more affordable housing from being built and utilized. And that's something that I think, similar to your point, is something to keep an eye on of, you know, what are we valuing as a community? Is it parking spots? Is it the appearance of a building? What does that look like for us? And that's something to look into as well when it comes to advocacy.
Sure, thank you so much.
Can I share one more thing with you? So a lot of times when people go into office, if they're not grassroots, they really don't understand, would you say, the magnitude of what's going on. There's so many layers of what is going on. And I want to share with you, we had 7 girls in our program who were all in college that lost their housing. And we're all trying to do our best. We care, I mean, at Fill a Heart, we care about all children. But families from other countries took over their housing, and all these young ladies became homeless. And we have to take steps where we think about the outcome in the long run. We have to think about the outcome. And these young ladies didn't have anywhere to go, and they ended up doing risky things to survive. And it took a full 8 months. And when I shared with you about Raven's story, she's going to become a dentist. This was Raven, all of her close friends that we tutored in foster facilities. All these young ladies were in college that lost their housing. And they don't make it easy with applications. So anyways, I'm sorry, I don't mean to steal the mic, okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for those responses. We've got a question back here.
Thank you all for sharing your stories and for the work that you all continue to do. Question for the panel, maybe targeted a little bit more at Mike, because you mentioned this in the presentation you gave. This is an extremely perilous time to be undocumented in the United States at the moment. Kind of curious, without getting into detail, have you been able to keep up services to the undocumented, and how have you had to adjust to account for the reality that's on the ground right now?
Thank you for your question. It's a great question. So in 2023, in the late stages of 2023, and for most of 2024, there was an influx of undocumented people coming to Chicago, sent up from other states that did not want them. Many were put on buses and sent to Chicago without any additional clothing, sometimes barefoot, with children or just by themselves. We needed to create an infrastructure in the city of Chicago that did not exist for this. We were a sanctuary city, but nobody had really thought through how many people were going to actually come to Chicago. And there were, I don't have the exact number, but it was well in excess of 150,000. And to this day, there are still people that are in shelters around the city, but the city has finally come to grasp with dealing with that situation. They've consolidated a lot of the areas that undocumented people, once they arrive in the city, can be sent to, where they would get more support than at the local police station, where many of them were sleeping on the floor. There were sometimes 20 and 30 people staying at a police station on the floor in the lobby because they had no other place to go. There were tent cities set up outside police stations because there was no place for them to go. Right next door to Fourth Presbyterian Church, there was a hotel that you might be familiar with, the Whitehall, where Coach Ditka had his restaurant. And during the pandemic, they closed, and the city started leasing that space out for undocumented people to be put in there, and that was right next to us. So we had a huge influx of people looking for everything from a meal, from clothing to a meal. And most of the people who came to get those services did not speak English, and we had to bring in people who could translate for us, as well as working with our translator apps on our phones just to be able to communicate. But we also had to recognize that there were cultural differences. We give out sandwiches. You guys make bag lunches for us. In Central America and Venezuela and other parts where people are coming from, they don't eat sandwiches. They don't usually have bread. If they have a bread, it's a sweet bread. So we started bringing in fish. So we started giving them packets of tuna, salmon, and then crackers and things for them to make their own meal out of. So it takes a lot of understanding to realize what people that are going through that are coming here to this country and what they need to get support and to survive. I think the city has made some strides in that. I think that overall the city could do more, but there are budget constraints that I think that we all know. The city of Chicago is probably $1 billion in the hole. I don't know where that money is going to come from. But again, grassroots support is key to getting a lot of support to the people who can't speak for themselves.
Can I add to that? Am I allowed to?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to turn it back to children then, and how children have been affected. So now you have children that are in the foster system that are aging out. And because housing has been given to families that have come into our country, children are living in areas for a year after they graduate where there's job support, and it's TLP, transitional, living placement. Okay, so the children are living there, they're learning skills, and then they tell the kids, "We're very proud of you. You get to have more independent living." Because they didn't have enough housing in areas, then they shift the kids, a lot of our kids, to the south side, where it's a food desert, where a lot of buildings are boarded up. Many of our kids don't have jobs. And they start, as I said before, risky behaviors just to survive. They have to choose their gang. They have to choose how to survive. So it's very complicated.
Thank you. I appreciate our questions. These are great questions. I'm afraid I do have to start wrapping us up due to the time. And I want to start that with just really thanking you three, Annie, Mike, Julie. We can, let's give a round of applause. I mean, not only for being here, spending the afternoon with us. This is the most sacred day on our calendar, and you are all infusing it with the sacred work that you all do. And your partnership really enables us to live the values of our tradition, and for that, we are extremely grateful. So as I mentioned before, these partner organizations, this is where our efforts for Feed the Homeless, this is where it goes. And we are in a time where I think each of our panelists mentioned some pretty acute needs tied to this time based on whether it's funding organizations receive or receiving less of, the economy and its implications on donations. Now is an extremely, extremely important time to continue supporting organizations like these, to consider and to continue supporting our organization, Feed the Homeless. As I mentioned at the beginning, this $35,000 budget per year, this is entirely congregant funded. So as we continue on our own fasts, I'll encourage us, our own personal fast is not the utmost ultimate fast that our tradition demands of us. It's really to respond to the need in our world, the hunger, the homelessness, and we do that once a month through your efforts. So I want to invite our Feed the Homeless leaders again to raise their hands so everyone can identify them. I also want, And I also want to give special thanks to Lois Davis for helping coordinate this panel discussion. And the rest is, it's up to you. It's on us. It's on us. So thank you again so much for being here. And for our congregation, Mincha starts at 3:30. So thanks for being here for this Is This the Fast I Desire panel discussion. Good Yontif. Hope everyone has a meaningful rest of Yom Kippur. And I will see everybody in the large sanctuary.